तमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
Chapter 2, verses 51 to 60. कर्मजं बुद्धियुक्तादि पदं त्यक्त्वा मनीषिणः जन्मबन्धविनिर्मुक्ताः पदं गच्छन्त्यनामयम्। यदा ते मोहकलिलं बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्। श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च श्रुतिभिः प्रतिपन्ना ते यदा स्थास्यसि निश्चला समाधावचला बुद्धिः तदा योगमवाप्स्यसि। अर्जुन उवाच स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्तस्य केशव। स्थितधि किं प्रभाषेत किमासीत व्रजेत किम्। श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते। दुःखेष्वनुद्विग्नमनाः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधः स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते। यः सर्वत्रानभिस्नेहः तत्तत्प्राप्य शुभाशुभम्। नाभिनन्दति न द्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता। यदा संहरते चायं कूर्मोऽङ्गानीव सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता। विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्जं रसोऽप्यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते। यततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमादीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः।
The portion of Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna, one of steady wisdom. So previously he concluded by the explanation of what happens upon self-realization. After explaining self-realization, Arjuna is having a natural doubt. Natural doubt of Arjuna is, what is that state of steady wisdom? How to understand what is happening inside of him? How to understand what is he doing outside? What is happening inside? These are the questions that Arjuna is asking about who is the man of wisdom. The very famous portion about this, a very famous portion on Bhagavad Gita is this Sthita Prajna, where he describes about the man of perfection, man of enlightenment. The word that he uses is steady wisdom. In the normal case of a human being, wisdom is available in Wisdom is available. Wisdom is available after the event. Wisdom is not available before. Wisdom is always available. After event has happened, after a situation happens, is when wisdom comes. In the sense, we understand the problems on hindsight better than before that. So, our understanding is always better when we work backwards. Steady wisdom versus in the ordinary case, in the case of ordinary human being, there is no wisdom. Wisdom is that which prevents you from doing certain things. Then you are wise. After doing it, the understanding is of no, or that understanding will not stop you from doing it again. Just as so many times you have resolved not to get angry, you have understood the difficulties of getting angry, how you should not get angry, and you have resolved also not to get angry, but all this understanding doesn't stop you from getting angry. Anger happens again. Follow? Therefore, he has a different kind of wisdom. So Arjuna is asking, what is that steady? What is that steady wisdom? So, the first implication is, first of all, is it possible to become wise? Number two, if it is possible, how steady that wisdom remains? So, explain that state of steady wisdom. Then the natural question, what is happening inside of him? How is he acting? What is happening outside of him? How is he relating to us? How are we to relate to him? All the questions. Steady wisdom comes from samadhi, which is known as samadhi. The Sanskrit word dhi means buddhi, intellect. The Sanskrit word dhi means buddhi, intellect. Understanding is, in the Gayatri Mantra you say diyo yo na prachodayat. Now what does that dhi means there? So the Sanskrit word dhi means buddhi, the intellect. A steady intellect. Steady wisdom, steady intellect. How it is steady, how it is equanimous, how it doesn't waver. These are all the questions that Arjuna is asking. Carefully follow. After him explaining what? He is not asking this question before. He has already explained what self-realization is all about. After hearing to the entire explanation, he is asking the question. Meaning, he follows our way of understanding. Upon hindsight only, all our understanding is better upon hindsight. After the answers are given in mathematics, sometimes it happens. After the answers are known, you understand the problem better. When you are solving problems, sometimes you will experience it. After the solutions are given, you understand the problem better. Or for all practical purposes, you understand the problem only after the solutions are given, which is not a very wise way of, which is not wisdom, which is not a wise way of living. Here is a man who lives life in a totally different way. That is the Sthita Prajna. A wise man and an enlightened person. We start with Arjuna's question. Verse number 54.
Arjuna Uvacha स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्तस्य केशव स्थितधि किं प्रभाषेत किमासीत व्रजेत किम् अर्जुन उवाच स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्तस्य केशव स्थितधि किं प्रभाषेत किमासीत व्रजेत किम्.
Arjuna said, what is the description of one of steady wisdom merged in the superconscious state, O Keshava? How does one of steady wisdom speak? How sit? How walk? This is the question. Of all the questions that Arjuna asks in the entire Bhagavad Gita, this is the only question where he doesn't talk anything about his problem. Otherwise, all other questions is always related to his problem. Most of the time we ask questions only related to our problems only. Because there is a problem and the problem is so disturbing and seeking a solution to that problem. This question, Arjuna, stands out from the rest. What is that? The question that he is asking is of no consequence to his condition, to his situation. Number one. Number two, all along he was never questioning. He was only the whole of chapter 1 and 10 verses of chapter 2. He was telling Krishna what is right, what is wrong. He was advising Krishna almost what is good, what is bad. And Krishna said, you are a prajñavadamsya bhashase. Verse number 11. You spoke like a wise man, Arjuna. You speak like that, but you are not nowhere near wisdom. But you spoke like a wise man. So from that, Arjuna didn't interfere. One of the longest portions where Krishna spoke non-stop, verse number 11 to verse number 53, no interference at all. No interference at all, because he couldn't even grasp what he is talking. You can interfere only when something is, you can grasp something when some doubt comes. If everything is, if everything is above na, you can't ask. So he was full blast with knowledge, the highest knowledge he gave. Suddenly he spoke about a person who has attained that knowledge. See the sequence. He started by talking about the principles of life, what to do, and then he spoke about a person who has attained to that state. The moment Krishna said, this is how a human being attains to that state, Arjuna asks this question. What is the question? What is the description of one of steady wisdom? As long as he was talking concepts, Arjuna didn't interfere at all. Why he didn't interfere at all? Because he could not follow. So he just simply, correct. He was nodding his head. The moment he said, a person has come to that point, it is possible for a human being to attain to that state. Arjuna woke up and asked this wonderful question. What is this question? 3 words he uses. Sthita. Sthita means steady. Sthiti means, comes from the root. Sthiti means steady, unmoving. Sthita prajna, samadhi, sthitadhi. 3 words he uses. All 3 words meaning the same thing. A man of steady wisdom. There is no such thing as unsteady wisdom. Either wisdom is there or not. There is no such thing as unsteady wisdom. What is the difference between the two? Wisdom is that which is of your experience, which you are living. Then it is wisdom. Opposite of wisdom is you can talk about it eloquently. You can have a discourse about it. You can give a discourse about it. Like I am giving a discourse now. No, it is easy. Yeah, you can give a discourse about it. You can be very eloquent about it. And yet, you might not have wisdom at all. What is the signs of a person who has this wisdom? And he qualifies it by saying steady wisdom. What is the nature and behavior of a God realized person? That's all he is asking. Question. If you remove all the technical terms, if you remove all the technical words that he is using, the question that he is asking is, describe a man of God realized human being. Describe the nature of a perfect human being. If at all there is a thing called perfection, what you need to understand is perfection not in the way that we understand perfection. In the way that we understand perfection, it is almost neurosis. It leads people to kind of madness, insanity. That's why there are so many ways to become insane. Man can become insane in very many ways. The easiest way, the quickest way to become insane is become a perfectionist. The moment you become a perfectionist, you will become insane very fast. Because everything will look wrong after that. Why is this like this? Why is this like that? Why is this like this? Nothing will, you become insane. You become insane very fast. So, when he talks about perfection, he is not talking about perfection in the way that we have understood perfection. What is the way we have understood perfection? I want everything to be perfect, sir. I want everything to be perfect. What do I mean when I say it is perfect, or the definition of perfection? Whatever you have understood, he is exactly talking the opposite of it. Whatsoever your understanding is, he is not concerned about your understanding. He is only saying, whatsoever your understanding is, I am talking exactly the opposite of it. That's the first sign of a God realized person. The first sign of God realized person is, he will not agree. He will not agree with you. You will not agree with him. There will not be a meeting point at all. If there is a meeting point, both are ignorant. A man went to Gautam Buddha and asked, is there a God? Buddha said, no, there is no such thing called God. I have searched for God my entire life. There is no such thing called God. Afternoon, another man came and said, is there God? Said, is there any doubt about it? I am the proof for it. There is God. Third person, is there God? Say, maybe there is God, maybe there is no God, I don't know. That night, in the evening satsang, Ananda, the chief disciple, asked him, why are you so inconsistent? Buddha turned around and said, what are you saying, Ananda? They asked these questions, and why did you answer like this? First thing he said, it's not your question, you should not have even listened to the answer, he said. You should listen to the answer only if it is your question. If it is not your question, why did you even listen to the answer? For that question is not bothering. That question is not bothering you. Why waste time? Number one. Number two, I am not inconsistent. I was perfectly consistent, but you didn't notice it. Say what? The first man is, to the first person he said there is no God. He is a theist. He has already concluded that there is God without knowing God. To him I said, there is no God. To a person, afternoon, atheist, he is already concluded there is no God. He is coming to me only for confirmation. Oh, Buddha also said. Arjuna wanted to run away from the battle. Later on he wanted to say, what? I had the sanction of Krishna. Krishna also agreed. That's why I ran away from the battle. He is not really asking a question. He is only asking. He is only asking endorsement. He is only asking Buddha to confirm what he already knows. So he said, all of them came with a preconceived notion. Consistently I denied all the three. So I was very consistent in not. That is you understand. A God realized man. First thing and the last thing is, whatsoever you say, he will not agree. He is in agreement with you, then he is not. Then he is not a correct. Then he is not a master. Two astrologers met on the roadside. Both of them asking each other, how was your day today? Are you able to understand? Two astrologers met on the roadside and they are asking each other, how was your day today? He should have known, for his day is not known to him. But then he is asking the other. Steady. What is the nature of an enlightened man? What is that? What is that state? 3 words. Sthita prajna. Prajna means wisdom. Steady wisdom. Samadhi, which is what is known as samadhi. The Sanskrit word samadhi is the sandhi of these 2 words. Sama plus di equals samadhi. That's the root. So a steady wisdom, steady intellect, sthita di. Again he is saying steady intellect. Samadhi and sthita di. Twice he uses the word di and once he uses the word wisdom. Are you able to follow? Twice he uses the word intellect and once he uses the word wisdom. All means the same thing. What? He is unwavering. Okay. Understand it like this, it becomes easy. Mind is that which constantly wavers. Mind is that which constantly oscillates. Mind is that which constantly moves. You cannot have a fixed mind. It's not possible. Mind by nature is movement. You follow? That movement of the mind, this person has. He has stopped that. He has arrested that movement. You try and keep it, except in deep sleep. It doesn't. Yeah. Only in the state of deep sleep there is some kind of steadiness. Otherwise, it's constantly moving. Moving because of what? Whatever causes the movement. This person is able to arrest the movement of the mind. How is he able to arrest the movement of the mind? What is that? What is that state of experience when the movement of the mind is arrested? When the movement is stopped? When all movement is stopped? What is that experience? That's the first question. Man of steady wisdom. Describe the nature of enlightened person. Then he goes on to the second part of the question. Divide the question into two parts. Then the second part of the question is, how does he speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? How does he speak? With his mouth only. Yeah, how will he walk? With his legs only. What does the question mean? Such a sit, speak, walk. There is explanation for us. We will come to that later. First thing that is very important to understand in this question of Arjuna is the indication of the movement of the mind is stopped. Wisdom is established when movement of the mind is stopped. If you want to become wise, what ought to be stopped? Movement of the mind. As long as the mind is moving, you cannot become wise. That's the implication. So he is asking, how is he able to stop the movement? What he did as a result of which the movement stopped. Whatever he has. Again 19 verses he is going to describe what is the nature of an enlightened person. And the answer that he gives, the description of enlightened man, will not really inspire us at all. Yeah, because we think enlightened man means we'll have a lot of powers. He can wonder, he can create, he can do miracles, he can create wonders. What all description we have about God realized a person. He gives a totally different explanation of who's a God realized person. How does he speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? First question, what is his nature? Second question, how does he speak? Third question, how does he sit? Fourth question, how does he walk? The next 4 verses is an answer to each and every question. He doesn't say this is the question, this is the answer. It is implied here. For whatever he had asked, there are 4 verses that is an answer to these 4 questions. 55.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogadan atmanyevatmana tushtaha sita prajnastadocyate. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogadan atmanyevatmana tushtaha sita prajnastadocyate.
The Blessed Lord said, when one completely casts off, O Partha, all desires of the mind and is satisfied in the self, by the self, then is one said to be of steady wisdom. The first question that is asked is, what is his nature? What is his nature? When one casts off all desires are gone. It's not just that desires are gone. Satisfied in the self, by the self. Then that man is said to be of steady wisdom. satisfied in the self, by the self, means understand the opposite, it becomes easy. You can never be with yourself. You need so many things around you to just be. Not that you are doing anything. To just be, you need so many things around of you. Satisfied in the self, by the self. He is talking about what contentment is. One way of explaining is desires are cast off. Another way of saying the same thing is he is a contented person. Contented within himself. Happy within himself. To understand what is this happy within himself, you have to compare it with one who is dependent on so many things for his happiness. The more things you need to be happy, more you are unhappy with your own self. Number one. Number two, if you are unhappy with your own self, how can you give happiness to others? Are you able to follow? You are unhappy with your own self. You can't sit with your own self. You are running away from your own self all the time. But you want to give happiness to others. Same thing, the other is also trying to escape from himself or herself. So, when two escapists meet, if you understand it like that, you can understand what is satisfied in the self, by the self. Yeah. 5-6 KH classன்றதுனால கொஞ்சம் அப்புறம் இன்னொரு 5-10 minutesல we will come down to normal story sessions. Just to show off all of Venkat, கோச்சுக்காதீங்க. சடனா இது சார் இப்படிலாம் பேசுறீங்க. A person who is not happy within himself, trying to escape from himself. The other is also trying to. So, everyone is running away from oneself. What is steady wisdom? Who is a man of steady wisdom? He is happy within himself. What brings that happiness within himself? All desires are cast off. You follow? So first thing that you need to understand is what is the state of contentment that he is talking about. A state of contentment that he is talking about is the contentment that is not dependent upon happiness that is not dependent upon anything. Happiness that is dependent upon anything is no happiness at all. A contentment that is dependent upon anything is no contentment at all. Remember that analysis? Somewhere down the line you collapse. What is the loss of a? சொல்லுங்க. What is the loss of a? Ball pen. Correct. Then wristwatch, car, house, family. Somewhere down the line you collapse. Remember that analysis? That's all you say. Contentment. Somewhere down the line, the dependency shows up, and that's the level. Here is a person who is contented within oneself, means a contentment that is not dependent upon anything else. In the ordinary sense, a contentment or happiness is always dependent upon something else. When it is dependent upon something else, you are termed ignorant. When it is not dependent upon anything else, you are termed wise. Who's a wise man? He has reached the point where his contentment doesn't spring from anything outside. What all the things that brings contentment, whatever be it, you follow? A steady wisdom. What does that steady wisdom here means? An experience, an understanding that has so strong in him that he doesn't chase anything anymore. He has stopped chasing. He doesn't chase anything anymore because he has come to that. Desires is nothing but chasing happiness. What is desire? Desire is nothing but chasing happiness. Desire is nothing but chasing contentment. Desire is nothing but a hope for happiness. Are you able to follow? Desire is nothing but a hope for happiness. The hope for happiness implies that you are unhappy now. That's the implication there. The hope for happiness means you are unhappy now. Whatsoever causes you unhappiness, you are so justified about it. You are so convinced. What? In this situation, how can you not be? How can you not be unhappy? We are not plant, no. We are not stones, no. We have to be unhappy, no. How can you not be unhappy? Your situation is so convincing for you. Another man's situation is so convincing for the other. But nevertheless, a contentment that springs about, that comes out of dependency. Any form of dependency implies weakness inside. Dependency implies weakness. Able to follow? Dependency implies weakness. This man is so strong that he is not dependent upon anything. If he is not dependent upon anything, if he is living a life like that, then the second part of the question is very meaningful. How does he speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? Walk symbolizing outward behavior. Sitting refers to his inner personality. How does he speak? How does he express himself? One is his nature. How does that nature expresses self-realization and nature? So first question is, what is that nature? What is that state of perfection is? Second is, how does that nature expresses itself? Third question is, that person who is expressing it, what is his inner personality? Expressing that expression, what is his inner personality? Fourth question, how does he contact the world? Because he is in contact with the world. We are also in contact with the world. He is also in contact with the world. There is an inner personality that we have. He also has an inner personality. There is an expression. We also have an expression. We also have inner nature. That is also an inner nature. What is the difference between this and that? Beautiful explanation on what is that inner nature. What is that inner nature? When one casts off all desires. Because he has understood what desire is. What is desire? A hope for happiness. He has become hopeless. All hopes he has lost. No more of this hope. hope implies you are unhappy. Number 2, how much ever you get it, it still continues. What continues? The hope continues. The hope continues. The objects you get, but what doesn't come? Happiness doesn't come. So the hope continues, and it doesn't seem to end at all. It doesn't seem to stop at all. All human movement is driven by this hope. All acquisition is driven by this hope. The entire life of a human being is by this hope. What is the hope? Hope of happiness. You will not say hope for happiness. Some will say, oh, one day everything will be alright. No, sir. What is that day where everything will be alright? That state doesn't exist at all. Having understood all that, this man has become steady in his wisdom. Understand the true nature of desire, understand the true nature of contentment. That is steady wisdom. He is saying desire, he is saying contentment. I have explained contentment already, and now we are discussing about the desires. Actually, we should not use the word desire. We should use the word desiring, because it's a process that is there always. It's not the desire. Desire na Vedo looks like something. Yeah, desire. It is. Desire na eppiyo nadanda mari irukku. Yeah, you don't get that. You don't get that immediacy. You don't get that urgency. You don't understand that it is happening now. Constantly. So use the word. Yeah. ing add பண்ணிக்கணும் அவ்வளவுதான். Desiring. That doesn't stop at all. Irrespective of what you have, what you do not have, the desiring continues. Here is a person who has inquired into the nature of what is this process of desiring, went through the entire understanding, have transcended that. So he said, when one completely casts off all desires. See, when you say all desires, don't understand it as numericals. See, when he says all desires, immediately we think of it as number of desires, what all desires, how do I know what all desires I have, what all I have crossed, what all I have to cross. Immediately you start understanding it in numbers, numericals. It's not numerical. That's the fallacy of thinking. It's not numericals. It is that process. What is that process? That endless process. Within quotes puttukongo. Desiring. It's so endless it is. So endless it is. He has inquired into the nature of it, and he has transcended that. That is when one completely casts off all desires. Second thing that he has done is Atmanye Atmana Tushtaha. Satisfied in the self, by the self. Relatively speaking, understand. You can't be without anything even for a second. Have you observed it about your own self? You can't be without anything. All your actions are driven by the sense of escapism. You follow what I am saying? You can't just be yourself. You need to do so many things to escape from what? Your own self. When you yourself want to escape from yourself, what will others do to you? Oh, no one is associating with me. You yourself don't want to. The person, the moment you start associating with your own self, the whole complexion, the whole thing changes. Are you able to follow? That inability to be contented with oneself. That's what in the starting in the beginning stages of practicing contentment, they say try to live life with certain minimum things, standardize. What is all that? Leading you to this experience of what true contentment is. A contentment that doesn't come from objects and beings. Technically understand it. Your own self. Now what does your own self means? A contentment that is not derived from objects and beings. Objects and beings, you will not know. If all the objects are taken away, if all the beings are taken away, then what is happening? That's why he says, in the self, by the self. Satisfied in the self, by the self. He is the one of steady. He is the one of steady wisdom. The difference between, from a different angle, the same thing, approach it from a different angle. What is the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Knowledge is knowing without knowing anything. You know it and yet you do not know it. I can give a discourse on discipline and I can be indisciplined. It's possible, no? Correct, sir. You are like that. I'm just saying, I can't say you, I am saying myself, that's all. You can give a discourse on charity and be uncharitable. You can give a discourse on compassion and be. What is the opposite of compassion? Cruel. You can be very crude, you can be very cruel, and you can give a discourse on compassion. So, there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom. What is the difference? Knowledge is borrowed, wisdom is yours. Knowledge is borrowed. Borrowed means it's not yours, it is someone else's. That someone else's, you believe it to be your own. That's where knowing is delusory. Knowledge makes you deluded. What is the delusion there? You do not, number one, you do not know it. Number two, it is borrowed, and that borrowed thing makes you to believe that it's yours. At least that much humility we should have to say it's borrowed. No, somewhere down the line you can change. Not only it is borrowed, you believe it to be yours. Knowledge. What is wisdom? What is wisdom? First thing, it is yours. Number two, since it is borrowed, it can be taken away from you. Correct? Yeah. Loans alla repay pannalanna. Anything borrowed means it can be. That's why the knowledge that we have, situations take it away. Situations take it away. Because if it is borrowed, it will be taken away. Situations, certain dilemmas in life, certain situations in life take away. Wisdom means it cannot be taken away. If it is taken away, means in the first place it is not wisdom. You have misunderstood borrowed thing as. Are you able to understand the difference between wisdom, knowledge and wisdom? Knowledge is borrowed. Anything that is borrowed will be. It's a question of time. It will be taken away. Wisdom, it's yours. It cannot be taken away. Example for wisdom, relatively understand this example. If you have learned swimming, 40 years you didn't swim, and if you are pushed into the water, you will start swimming. If you have learned cycling, 40 years you didn't cycle, and you sit and start pedaling, you will start cycling. Are you able to follow? You can never, wisdom is that which will never be lost. No situation is strong enough to take it away. Then it is known as wisdom. What is knowledge? Correct. ரொம்ப depressing. All the list she gave. I felt very depressed. Yeah, I didn't realize that it was so depressing. No, say, it is very depressing. That which doesn't belong to me, I believe that it's mine. That's knowledge. It's not mine. See, understand Arjuna. That is Arjuna. He spoke so wonderfully. Chapter 1 and chapter 2. The end result of all that wisdom is what? He spoke like a selfless man. He spoke like a sacrificial person, to an extent where he went and told Krishna, if you want the kingdom, I will fight it for you, he said. How can you, when knowledge becomes too much, he will start blabbering like that. He is saying, I don't want the kingdom, Krishna. If you want it, I will fight it, win it, give it to you, and I will. I am doing it only for you. Can you see the correlation? Exactly what we speak is what? Or whether we learn from Krishna or not, we are following Arjuna completely. You follow? And what is the end result of that wisdom? Or whatever wisdom he claimed to have. What is the end result of that? Grief. Vishada. That's why it's called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. The end result of all that wisdom is Vishada. Vishada means despondency. A despondent state. What is the despondent state? Nothing is. What is the state of despondency? Nothing is working out for you. Steady wisdom. Wisdom is that which is steady. Steady means no situation can take it away. Ignorance means, or knowledge means, situations will take it away. Whatever be the situation. Whatsoever situation takes it away, that is your level of, that's your current level. That's your current status of growth as a human being. Like he says, no. If the loss of a ball pen is affecting you, God be with you. Somewhere down the line there is a fall. Family la avuluduram varave vana. Even much before that itself there is a fall. Because of what? desiring. Desiring is the hope for, it's a hope. And that hope continues. What is the hope? What is the hope of desire? What is the hope? Happiness. Happiness can be got through? Happiness can be got through? Dependency. Happiness can be got through? One word. Purilla. Contentment. I am talking not about wisdom. அதனால தான் திருப்பி சொல்லினே இருக்கேன். Acquisition, correct. Out of ignorance, the mind believes desire is nothing but a hope for happiness. What is that hope? Acquisition will bring happiness. That's all. Acquisition will bring happiness. Whatever you acquire, acquisition can be anything. You understand? Acquisition can be anything. But at any point of time, the belief is acquisition will bring happiness. Acquisition means dependency on numbers. Dependency on numbers. That's why more the numbers, more the okay, everything is less the numbers. Even in religion, the same thing. I have written 10 lakh times Sri Rama Jai. That will protect me. Acquisition means numbers. Are you able to follow? Acquisition means numbers. That's why the chase is always behind numbers. Numbers means more. Wealth has to be Shankar. Wealth has to be more. At some point, chasing the wealth has tired you out so much. Health is lost. Apo you want to acquire health. First you do something and you will lose it, and then you will try to regain it. Correct? Are you able to follow? You will do something and you will lose it. After losing it, you will try to. That's the mad game of desire. First you will do something to lose it. First you will do something in a relationship and lose the relationship. Then you will want to do something to regain the relationship. You follow? You will do something and lose the wealth, and then you will want to do something to gain the wealth. You will do something, lose the health, and you want to do something else and regain. So this endless game continues. One. Second is it continues through numbers. It continues through numbers. More the numbers, more the comfort. Bada. Supposing you come, you are the only man who walked into this. No one else is there in the classroom except me. I come because I don't have anything else to do. Now why you come? God only you come. Only we both are here. Sir, Venkat WhatsApp message ஒழுங்கா அனுப்பலையோ? அவங்களுக்கு அனுப்பிச்சிருந்தா யாரையுமே இல்லையே. And then next week you come, Again, same, only you. You will ask, next week when I meet Panlama, sir? Shall we cancel the class for today and shall we meet next week? More the numbers comes, are you able to follow? More the numbers comes, more the desires finds its security through acquisition. Acquisition is always in numbers. That's why the human being chase numbers. We chase numbers. Exactly the opposite of that is what they had as a practice in this culture. They will never allow you to chase numbers. It is always one. It is always one. It's the same barber that you have to go to, the same tailor that you have to go to. Even if he doesn't give it on time, the same barber you go, he cuts your face every time, but still you have to go. It's the same shop you have to go. Why is that? Such a wonderful thing. Why it is always that one? Why it is that one? The numbers, the dependency on the numbers is taken away. Otherwise you are dependent on numbers. Even temple, you can't go to the same temple every day. You need to go to different temples. Because the same temple becomes so mechanical, so boring. The way in which the man walks so fast and comes out, he doesn't even see the land. Balasubramanya has a fantastic house. You come into the balcony, you can see Kapali Gopuram. Correct? You see, when I went to his house, I was so happy sitting in that house because you open the window, he is there 24/7 in front of you. First time you go, it's very inspiring. Second time, drop. Third time, maybe Kapali is not so powerful. Maybe powers and all is gone now. We should try some other numbers. Everywhere it is the numbers. You understand? That's where it's so deceptive, because how much ever you add, it's still less, elusive. It's still how much ever you add, it's so elusive it is. So there is you can't. So by adding, by acquiring, you cannot achieve anything. You follow? Or it gives such a temporary satisfaction. It gives such a temporary happiness. A man will do anything to make sure that his name appears in the newspaper. After a while, he will do anything to make sure that his name doesn't appear. You follow? One point of time, he wants to be famous. At another point of time, he thinks, oh, that is better. That's better. And they asked Einstein, what do you want to become in your next? If at all there is something or another Janma, I would like to become a carpenter, he said. Because being an Einstein is no satisfaction. At least become a carpenter. You follow? That desire carries this endless hope for acquisition, in the belief that it will give happiness. Where the delusion comes is, where the mind gets deceived is the temporary happiness that it derives. The temporary happiness that it derives brings a faulty logic. If this much is giving this much happiness, this much must give this much happiness, this much must give this much happiness, this much must give happiness. You follow? It gives a deceptive logic. That experience of a temporary happiness, that experience of an immediate joy brings a greater hope. What is the greater hope? More the numbers means the quantum also must increase. If you can't be happy in the existing house, what makes you to believe that you can be happy in the bigger house? You can buy a bigger house, but the unhappiness continues. If you can't be happy in the existing car, what makes you to believe that the bigger car will give happiness? It continues. So, all human ambition, all human growth, or whatsoever we call as growth, is driven by what? Whatsoever we call as growth is driven by the faulty logic. It's a faulty logic. Contented in the self, by the self means what now? Means what? What now? What does it mean? The happiness is not dependent upon any acquisition. Happiness, contentment, not dependent upon any acquisition. 1. Number 2, happiness is not a future commodity. Happiness, contentment is what you have now. Another attempt from different angle. Understand this. Same thing from different stories. Trying. From another angle, contentment. We do not know, a human being does not know how to grow out of contentment. All our concepts of growth, all our vision of growth stems from a discontentment in the present. The seed of discontentment is sown first, with the hope of reaping contentment. It's like sowing the seed of bitter neem seeds and expecting a sweet mango fruit to come out. You sow discontentment, what you reap? Discontentment. The law of cause and effect is very clear from different angles. You follow? All our Vedanta is not saying, these masters are not saying grow or don't grow. That's all dependent. That's all in the future. What is happening to you now? Humanity doesn't know how to evolve out of contentment. All our concept of evolution, all our growth stems from discontentment. What is discontentment? Unhappy with what you have. But unless you are unhappy, why will you want? Why will anyone aspire, sir? Necessity is the mother of invention. Some logic you will have, some story you will have to convince. Now, when it is driven out of discontentment, where does it end? Where will it end? Where will it end? It will end only in destruction. the stopping will happen only, it will stop only after destruction. Destruction, complete destruction, not half destruction, correct. Complete destruction. You follow? Simple example. The hope is nothing but the hope of the gambler. Hope is nothing but the hope of the gambler. Mind is that gambler thing. That's all mind is. Gambler will put 100 rupees and he will gain 1000 rupees. He'll put 1000 rupees and he'll gain 10,000 rupees, let us say. So for all practical purposes, he started with 100 and he has ended with 10,000. Wisdom will say, stop now and get out. He cannot stop. He will not stop. He will go on and on and on till he loses entire thing. Not only he will lose his thing, he will make sure that everyone around him also loses everything. That's Yudhishthira. See, not only he lost, he made sure that, are you able to follow? Not only he lost, he made sure that everyone around him also lost. Mind is that. It's that it goes. So all our vision of growth is stemming from a discontentment, and discontentment ends only upon destruction. Are you able to follow? What is destruction? What is the destruction? What is destruction? Destruction. What is destruction? What gets destroyed? Hopes and desires. Other desires, now you will be safe. But that doesn't get destroyed. Something else is destroyed. The most valuable is destroyed. The most precious is destroyed. The only worthwhile is destroyed. What is that? Happiness, contentment, peace, intellect. What is destroyed? The self. No time for self. No time for God. Are you able to follow? What is lost? Chasing the useless, the precious is lost. Trying to attend to the meaningless, the meaningful is lost. Kenopanishad says Mahati Vinashti. Are you able to follow? In this mad thing, what is lost? You have no time for the truths of life, the truth of life. You will have no time for the reality of life. For so busy in attending to the hopes and fixing the hopes, trying to make sure that at least next catch everything in the next Anyway, I will be very wise, sir. All along I made a mistake. From now on I will be very wise. And you will lose that also. Again you will become wise and you will lose. You follow? What is it that is lost? The most valuable is lost. The most precious is lost. In what? In chasing the acquisition, in chasing contentment, not realizing that contentment springs from the self, not realizing contentment springs from the truth, not realizing contentment springs from God. It doesn't come from anything else. Not realizing that desire gives you the hope that it can be got from outside. Outside now you have to acquire it. Last for today. Acquisition means it's not yours. anything acquired will be lost. Self is not an acquisition. God is not an acquisition. You can never lose it. Are you able to follow? Acquisition means it's not yours. Not only that, it will remain around you, but you can never become that. You can keep on looking at it, but it can never. You can keep on looking at it. You can keep on hoping that one day you and that will become one. But that thing will never, that union can never happen in acquisition. You follow? Because it's not yours. God is not an acquisition. Self is not an acquisition. Truth is not an acquisition. As a result of this understanding, this man has become steady in his wisdom. He has stopped acquiring. Able to follow? Because he has developed this understanding, he has stopped this mad chase of acquiring. Because he has understood what? Anything acquired will be lost. First of all, anything acquired is not yours in the first place. Since it is not yours, there is no question of losing. Unnecessarily you thought it is yours, and now you unnecessarily count a loss. That's where he says, you thinking it as yours is also delusion. You thinking you have lost it also a delusion. For it's never. Correct. Follow? Unnecessarily you thought it's yours. You counted some gain. Now that it has gone away, you count a loss. Steady wisdom. All desires are cast off. Completely has cast off. All desires means don't immediately jump into numericals. Don't immediately jump into numericals. Numericals now, what is the number of desires I have? Every day how many desires I should? Don't plan like, because it's not in numbers. It is that process. It is to do with a wrong understanding of life. What is it? Happiness, contentment is not through acquisition. Acquisition implies that it is not yours. That which is not yours in the beginning can never be yours right till the end. That which is yours in the beginning is always there till the end. What is yours from the beginning? The self. But the human being has no time for the self. The human being has no time for God. But he has time for everything else. And God says, he can't do. He is helpless. God is more helpless than or we make God also helpless now what to do. You follow? Cast off all desires, satisfied in the self, by the self, Arjuna. This man is said to have steady wisdom. To whatever extent you have identified with the self, to that extent your desires, 100% identified, 100%. This man has identified with the self so completely that all his desires are disappeared. It's not the desires in numbers, it is that what has stopped? The process of desiring. Desiring na, you have to do something now. Desire na, you can always postpone. Don't postpone. Do it. If you have to do it now, you have to understand it in relation to the present. This man, having understood that, has attained the steady wisdom. What is the nature of enlightenment is the question. First question. What is the nature of enlightenment? The nature of enlightenment is no desiring. Second is, he knows how to move in life through contentment. That's all wisdom is. Two things. Desiring has stopped. He knows how to move around through contentment. We move around through discontentment. We move around through desiring. He does exactly the opposite. Our movement needs these two. His movement doesn't need these two. That's the difference. What is the nature of steady wisdom? All desiring is stopped. He moves out of. His actions spring from contentment. Our actions springs from discontentment. His actions springs from contentment. If you understand these two, this is the nature of enlightenment. This is the nature of steady wisdom. Seriya? Next week.
Have a good day.